So producing their own novel utterances really involves work across the continuum and across the context in which they communicate. So I use naturalistic teaching or incidental teaching, and what I like about it is it makes the most of teaching opportunities in natural settings. So it can occur whenever you and the child are together. It's not like, oh, this is language time, or oh, this is speech time, and it takes advantage of where the child's interest already is, although you can point the child's interest in different ways by what you have available for them at that time or what the environment is certainly highlighting. And it provides an opportunity to teach that skill with intrinsic motivation. Therefore, you're in a naturalistic setting, it's going to maximize the ability to generalize. I want to remind you that incidental teaching is an established intervention by the National Activity Report. So the first one is manding or making requests, and that's simply asking a child to do something related to their current focus or attention. So you're taking advantage of a young child's focus or an older child's focus on something and then asking them to do something with it. In my mind, it's not truly incidental teaching because it doesn't require the child to initiate language, but it just requires child to attend to something. So you get the joint attention, but not the initiation. However, others certainly disagree with me. It certainly is the least communicative of incidental teaching types, but it is a good way to judge comprehension if you need to know what they know or what they don't know. However, with young children, I try to avoid a lot of excessive questioning, because if I continue to question about things I already know the answer to, the message I send that child is, I'm not really listening to you the first 6 times you told me that was red or that was a boat. But if I do need to know what they know, or I need to know an answer to a question, I use that. But I don't try to do it in an artificial way. I try to use it as part of a useful endeavor, something we were really going to do or has a function or a meaning. The other part is, if I make a request, I don't automatically assume that they don't want to. I know from many years of experience, often it's not that. It's that they're not, I haven't adequately gotten their attention to the stimulus, or I haven't followed their attention correctly, so they're not attending to what I'm talking about. They may not understand the language that I'm saying or what I'm requesting them to do because it's too difficult. So I certainly look at language comprehension before anything else. Attention first, comprehension second. I think providing choices is one of the most powerful teaching tools we have. Besides reducing behavioral issues, it really shows the power of communication and language. So providing an opportunity to choose between 2 or more objects or activities, so it really communicates that power of language. Certainly promotes compliance. Do you want to do your homework with the pink marker or the purple marker? Do you want to do your work at your desk or at the table? All of the, you can make a choice for almost anything. And it's really nice also to work on language concepts. Do you want to play with the big ball or the little ball? Do you want to play with the dog with a long tail or the short tail? Things like that. Another good naturalistic language technique is limited access. Oftentimes, especially when you go into parents' homes, the child is just flitting from one thing to another, to another, to another, and that's because they have unlimited access to everything, and that big space probably is a little disorganizing to them. But if you can place some desired objects out of reach in a closed container or temporarily block them for participating, this creates an environment in which they need to communicate, and this is really important. However, you only want to do that in a temporary way, and you want to avoid upsetting or distressing. In other words, you don't want to communicate that communication is a pain in the neck, and I'm doing this to be mean, because you want them to create a collaborative bond with you. So sometimes I'll do it in kind of a funny way and then go, oh, I need to move, things like that. So I may put something in a tub that they can see but they can't really open, and then wait expectantly, pause, and wait and see what they do. Typically they'll bang the tub, try to get it open by themselves, and if they still can't, maybe I'll put my hand out to get them to ask me for some help, things like that. But I don't do it like, oh, yep, you got to use those words to get it. That's not in the essence of communication. Remember, communication is voluntary and social. It has to involve another person, so you have to want to be with another person to communicate, and you cannot put your hand in someone's mouth and make them talk. So all of communication must be social, and it must be voluntary. So if you do it in a punitive way, while you'll get short-term results, you're shooting yourself in the foot in the long term. Giving a little bit. Here again, all we're doing is setting up the environment to ask for more. So I don't give the whole sandwich. I may just give a bite of a sandwich. I am the stingiest person known to man. I don't even give whole potato chips when they're first learning how to request. They may even get a quarter of a potato chip. But again, it creates the need to get more. And it's really a nice, fast, easy way to get a lot of requests without having to resort to, really kind of removing things, So I give a little bit of a portion of something, and then they need to request for more, and then I'm really happy to give it to them the minute they do. Incomplete activities. In incomplete activities, you set up an activity with some but not all of the items necessary to complete the activity, and then the child needs to ask for more, which is a little added than just making a request, isn't it? Because they have to assess the situation and see what they need. So therefore, you don't want to do this with an activity you don't do often. So in other words, if I set up a painting activity and then I left off a paintbrush and said, go ahead, paint, they may just stick their hands in the paint if they don't know that they need a paintbrush, right? So you need to make sure it's a routine that's familiar to the child. And I don't do this with a tricking manner. I do it kind of in a forgetful one. Oh, silly me, I forgot the paintbrush. So again, I want that atmosphere of communicating with me and having a good time, rather than the I know it all and I'm judging you, right? There's a big difference, because we want to create an atmosphere of social communication.